For Lake City TV, I'm Phil Kuhn. A Cromwell teen has a new sentence this afternoon. 15-year-old Paul Gingerich learned this morning that he will be transferred to the juvenile facility in Pendleton until he's 18 under the new plea deal announced last month and made official this morning. Gingerich will then serve out the remaining 25 years of his sentence under state supervision. He was 12 years old when he took part in the shooting death of 49-year-old Philip Danner in April of 2010. Gingerich had his case moved to adult court later that spring, and he was originally sentenced to 25 years in prison. An appeals court overturned that plea deal and threw out the 2010 sentence.
I'm very pleased with what happened today. I think it's the correct resolution for this case, both on Paul's behalf and on the state's behalf, and I also think that it will help the victims in this case get some closure.
You had brought up too that there is possibly a chance that he could be, what was the word, step down and...
Right, the procedure that we've agreed to is that we'll step down his restrictions, assuming that he continues to make the kind of progress that he has made in the last 4 years, assuming that his restrictions will become less and less. So it's conceivable that he could even be in a residential treatment facility as early as this summer.
And I mean, have people been very happy with his behavior, the IDOC, and what he's doing right now?
Yes, this agreement would not have happened without his conduct at Department of Corrections being flawless in terms of conduct problems. He's been attending high school classes within the facility and has maintained a 4.0 average or close to a 4.0 average the entire time he's been there. He's been a mentor to other juvenile inmates in terms of helping them to see how they can get on the straight and narrow and act right within the facility. And without all of those things, I don't think this agreement would have been possible. And we are desperately trying to find the letter that he wrote before I started representing him that the Department of Corrections seized. You know, they can't have inmates writing to victims' families. You know, you may sit there and think, well, why would they seize that letter? It was a heartfelt expression of remorse, but they can't have inmates writing to victims' families. I understand completely the reason for the rule. It just didn't work out in this particular situation. But Paul is very remorseful. He has been remorseful the entire time that I've represented him, and his family has struggled with a way to express their sorrow to the Danner family. And hopefully now that the case is resolved, all of that can happen.
He will stay in a lockdown facility, so his continued placement will be in the Department of Corrections. Now, and when he does the review hearing at the age of 18 to turn 19, then we'll readdress the level of detention.
One thing I really want to ask you about, the defense lawyer was talking about brain science and not fully developed brains these days, and almost explaining off the behavior somewhat. How do you go along with that?
The psychological testing in this case was quite prevalent after the first case was completed and during the appellate process. The defendants had psychological evaluations during the first trial and the first go-around that we had with Paul Gingerich's case. And at that time, the brain science, if you will, was addressed at that time. And then as the case progressed into the appellate level and now into the second case, more psychological evaluations have been done both from the Department of Corrections viewpoint as well as the defense viewpoint. Has been presenting the brain science since then. So I'm sure this isn't going to be the last time we're going to see the brain science until at least the review.
Stay tuned to Lake City TV for more information as it becomes available. With Lake City TV, I'm Phil Kuhn. Have a great afternoon.